Life, throughout, is but the persistent observation of the duality principle and its dependent mechanism of value differentiation. The more mankind's comprehension increases and expands in this regard, the better they penetrate the nuances of details concerning the matter and events that are subject to these principles. At first glance, it is possible to observe duality in rough states as well, because there is also duality in every matter form seen. The appearance of duality is obvious in the wholes and parts of this rough matter. For example, the activities of the human organism are executed through states of reciprocal equilibrium of two nervous systems, sympathetic and parasympathetic. These two nervous systems stand against each other in every organ of the body in opposite directions, such that, for example, in the heart, if the sympathetic system takes upon positive roles and the parasympathetic system takes upon negative roles, then in the stomach where the sympathetic system takes upon negative roles, the parasympathetic system takes upon positive roles. That is, the states of stabilization of these two nervous systems, which are opposite to each other, execute main deeds in the continuation of the organism's activities, which constitute a whole. As one of these activates an organ and accelerates its duty, the other one which stands against it in an opposite character works to stop and to decelerate the same organ. So, by restraining the influences of the first system, it limits its speed, which can be detrimental, and thus protects the organism. Here, shifting the equilibrium of these two nervous systems this or that way is regulated and supervised by the being who governs that body, according to the necessities and requirements of life. We see the strongest manifestation of duality in the states of the sexes. A male and a female that came together constitute a duality unit. They are both opposites and supporters of each other. In this way, their reciprocal states and relations allow the progression and well-being of the family unit on all sides. And the complete disruption of the equilibrium between these two opposites means the disintegration of the family. There is duality in feelings, as well, sympathy, antipathy, love, hate, friendship, enmity, selfishness, altruism, etc. Similarly, there is also a duality in concepts, goodness, bad, beauty, ugliness, etc. In short, it is possible to see and find duality in all crude states. However, it is also essential to see duality in more complex states. If the duality principle is not supported by the value differentiation mechanism and stands alone, it will be useless and depreciated. The duality principle and value differentiation mechanism are two mechanisms attuned to each other for the realization of a certain function, and can engage in action through each other's existence. More correctly, value differentiation is the additional mechanism of the duality principle. Let us complete our explanation on value differentiation. First, we should explain what the value is. We have seen that matter states exist only through certain motions. In this case, the state of matter in a given stage means manifestation of the sum of motion complexes that exist in that matter at that moment. And this is a concept which makes that matter exist and which gives an identity to it particular to that moment. So in any given moment, the motion complexes of matter that resulted in the presence in a milieu it is in, are a sum of values or of quantities for that being. Therefore, decreasing or increasing of the content of motion in a matter's constitution in this or that way means the differentiation of that matter's values, that is, the decreasing or increasing of these values. And this occurs through incoming external influences on one or other of the opposites of that matter unit. 4. Influence is a motion as well. So, this is the meaning we express by value differentiation or quantitative transitions. In summary, more incoming influences at one or other of the motion complexes, which are opposites in kind to each other, that is, at one of two opposite values of a duality unit, requires the value differentiation of that unity or unit. Therefore, incoming influences each have their own values. So, one of the opposites receiving more value than the other results in a disruption in the equilibrium that exists between these opposites. However, in accordance with the duality principle, these opposites must remain in a continuous state of equilibrium. So, in order for this disrupted equilibrium to be restored, a flux occurs from the more valued part to the less valued part, and the expression of this fluxing state of matter is motion. Through these motions that will occur in various directions, myriad transitions and recreations upon the states and forms of matter transpire. In the duality of spirit and universe, it must never be forgotten that the responding of the universe parts with complete harmony towards the behaviors of spirits that occur in accordance with their evolutionary needs is realized only by the necessities of the original principle. This principle reflects these behaviors of spirits upon matter substance, and returns the reactions of every matter parts and whole by reflecting these back to spirits. That is, the needs of spirits are reflected to the universe as influences in accordance with the necessities of sublime principles. Because responding immediately to the needs which are reflected to the universe, that is, acting upon the necessities this influence carries, is the characteristic imperative of matter substance. The response that matter gives through this imperative is again reflected back through the same channels with the same necessities to spirits. Here, this knowledge states one more time what the concept of necessity is and how vast and profound is the meaning it carries. In our universe, in universes, and amidst spirits which are above the universes, necessity encompasses everything. Necessity is the expression of situations that are stated and determined in the original principle. Each word we utter, each statement we use, each example we give, is but the material facilities of our universe, and none of these can have an authentic presence amidst the sublime values, which are above the universe. Nevertheless, these are sufficient to put forth the materialized expressions of the truths within the universe as symbols and, by this, to give some intuitions. After all, there is no earthly being who can grasp it further than this. After stating this point, we return again to the mirror symbol. We have said that by the necessities of sublime principles, the needs of spirits are reflected, as if from a mirror, to the universe, and the response coming from there is reflected back to spirits. We wish to strengthen the intuition of this enormous truth, which we have to put into a world example. By reconciling the mirror symbol here with world, time and space, by thinking of the spirits on one side, and the mirror against them and the universe on the other side, considerations should not be carried out by trying to measure the reflections for certain periods of time in accordance with the distances between these. For, in the truths which are above the universe, there are no states of time and space particular to our world. Nevertheless, by remaining devoid of time and space restrictions, it is necessary to accept the concepts of mirror-spirit universe as if they are within each other, and to look at the process which is intended by this symbol as if it occurs and ends at the same time, without assigning it a time period in the sense that mankind understands it. We vehemently wish to remind you that, as explained in the mirror example, the moment mankind fails to properly gain intuitions that are free from their accustomed time and space constraint, it is always possible for them to face the danger awaiting them. And this danger is a misconception. That is, this intuition of spirit mirror universe symbol we stated should never ever lead one to a concept of pantheism, because the ones who understand well what is written know that such a concept has not been intended. The thought of sublime principles, spirits and universes merging into a single being leads mankind in a direction which is the exact opposite of the truths we wish to talk about, and sweeps away all of their higher intuitions. This is a certain truth, that no part or whole of the infinite sequence of universes, which are of substances that have much more abundant possibilities and are superior to one another, and which therefore display capabilities that are able to respond to the more advanced needs of spirits, nevertheless cannot reach the level of spirits. Thus also the possibility of spirits, which originate from whatsoever universe substance, cannot be thought of. There is an absolute inaccessibility between universes, universe substances, and spirits. This inaccessibility arises from the disposition of spirit and universe substances. Because, if universes and spirits could give and take something from each other, and had there been mutually substantial values, which had the same disposition between them, there would not be the necessity of spirit and universe duality, and the meaning of evolution would be vanished. Similarly, it cannot be thought that universe substances could change into each other through development or by any other means. The change of these substances into each other cannot be possible. Therefore, as it may arise in mankind's minds, a universe, by developing, cannot shift up to constitute a higher universe. That universe only, within vast possibilities that can be said to be infinite, congregates, disperses, and congregates, redisperses again. This state is an infiniteness which no one can conceive. If the transforming of universes into each other through time and development was a truth, then there would be no necessity and imperative for universe substances to exist separately and for universes to exist separately. And a single universe would remain forever as a melia of evolution to spirits. But this state cannot be reconciled with the concept of the endless evolutionary needs of spirit. For, however infinite the possibilities it has, a universe, whose quality does not change and which remains of the same quality of substance, is not sufficient to meet the infinite needs of spirit. Such a concept of the single universe would lead to the need for spirits and universes to be of the same value and on the same plane. And this is completely contradictory to the spirit and universe duality and the idea of evolution. Therefore, the concept of the single universe is not in accord with the concept of endless evolution of spirit. Even if its infinite possibilities are accepted, the intuition of a single quality that will respond to the evolution of spirit, which has infinite scope, is one thing. The intuition of infinite possibilities of infinite qualities, which have absolutely no similarity with each other, is another thing. And the state which is worthy of the truth of spirit's endless evolution, that is, the state which is suitable for the truth of endless evolution, which for reaching an end is out of the question, that is, the latter state, is the state of existence of infinite substances of which each one is of a completely different quality, and which has infinite possibilities of development in particular characters. So, the truth of the endlessness of spirit's evolution can find its essential meaning and value only by undergoing endless evolutionary cycles in each of such infinite substance qualities.